If you grew up being abused or neglected, you know the effects linger years later. Like an albatross hung around your neck, the stench of a bad childhood can follow you, but there's hope. I'm Dave Lockridge, founder and executive director of ACE Overcomers, a faith-based ministry that helps teens and adults overcome the effects of a difficult or traumatic childhood. The Centers for Disease Control conducted a very revealing scientific study on over 17,000 people called the Adverse Childhood Experiences, or ACE study. This study measured how many people were exposed to adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, and how they were affected by these experiences years later. Is there a connection between childhood difficulty and later emotional and physical difficulties? Well, the results of the ACE study were staggering. They discovered that adversity in childhood is common and it significantly impacts emotional and physical health decades later.
I'm currently employed with the Merced County Rescue Mission. I'm the Director of Mission Programs for them. I also work for ACE Overcomers, and I teach the ACE curriculum for the recidivism class for ACE. You know, growing up in an abusive household where there was the emotional disconnect, where my father would lash out to me in anger, and I would get hit. You know, thinking back, it's more like I was to be seen and not heard. It went from feeling like it was normal to feeling like there was something wrong with me, because as I grew up, I started looking at other folks and thinking, well, you know, how come they're happy and I'm not? Started off drinking alcohol when I was young, smoking marijuana, and then when I was probably 15, 16 years old, I ended up snorting meth, and the criminal behavior took me to prison, and this went on a pathway for me that lasted for 25 years. I didn't have the normal childhood, so when I walked into the prison doors, the men took a hold of me as a young kid and, you know, taught me how to cut my hair, taught me how to walk, taught me how to dress, taught me how to shave, and that became the father figure that I was looking for all that time. I went into this ACEs class, and I remember the man that was standing up there and he was teaching the ACE class, and it really caught my attention because he had a history similar to mine. And then he started saying about, nothing's wrong with you. He goes, something happened to you. And that really caught my attention because I was trying to figure out after all these years, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Why am I acting the way I am doing? And I never realized that there was nothing wrong with me. I was just responding to my childhood of things that have actually happened to me. I would say to somebody that's in my position 10 years ago, there's help. Let us help you. And there is a way out. And know that it's not your fault.
I was raised in a household where one of my parents suffered with untreated mental illness and was later diagnosed as bipolar. I ended up being manipulated, coerced, and trapped into human trafficking for a part of my life. I had come to a place where I hated myself. I hated what I had become. I hated everything about me. And so I reached out into the community looking for resources to help me grow and change. And I came across Dave Lockridge and ACE Overcomers and was able to enroll in that class. I have 4 beautiful children, and I'm there and I'm present and I'm loving and I'm patient and I have my moments, but I'm way different than I was in my addiction. We are not our past. Our past does not define us.
2 years ago, I was sexually assaulted, and my daughter was a witness. Well, my therapist or counselor from the Valley Crisis Center gave me a pamphlet of this ACE program class. And, you know, at that point, I'll do anything and everything to see whatever works. So that's how I was introduced to the class, and we started going. I have my own ACEs that I wasn't aware about in my childhood.
The ACE study measured exposure to 10 categories of abuse, neglect, and household stressors like substance abuse in the home, divorce, mental illness of a family member, domestic violence, or incarceration. The more a person is exposed to these stressors, the more likely they are to experience health and emotional problems. The more likely they are to have learning difficulties. The more likely they are to have difficulty controlling their emotions. And the more likely they are to engage in substance abuse and have difficulty getting along with others. Well, 2/3 of adults have experienced at least one category of childhood stressors, or ACEs, and nearly 1 out of 4 adults were significantly impacted by childhood abuse. ACEs affect how well we get along with ourselves, with others, and it's time we help overcome adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs.